Gather round, game dads, pour ye an ale, as we remember the year through a story and tale. 'Twas a year of good gaming, good kids, and good times, and ends here in remembrance and struggling with rhymes. Lift a glass to fond memories of games and kid taming, and a Merry Christmas from your friends here at New Dad Gaming.
The adult beverages are poured. The kids are asleep. Welcome to New Dad Gaming. It's a show about fatherhood, gaming, and new fathers figuring out their gaming lives.
Okay, I should have expected something, but I did not.
I pull that on you
So-
every year.
Every year I fall for it, and I'm thankful I fall for it because it's so amazing to hear it for the first time.
I'll say this: there was a temptation to phone it in with AI, but
Oh,
it's like that's not fun. So that
right.
is written. If I do nothing else the whole year, that's one of my favorite parts.
It's so good. And I know that, like, okay, so for the audience, we were supposed to record yesterday and I had just stuff going on. So I can only imagine your heart just slightly breaking. You'd be like, no, I have this really good, like, intro poem that.
I crafted over months and months.
Yeah.
Came together pretty together. I was pretty excited this year because I rhymed taming with gaming. So
It's perfect. I love it.
oh, everybody, welcome to the show. This is New Dad Gaming, where each week we try to show that just because you became a dad,
Does not mean it's game over.
dads, we made it. It's another year. Hopefully, you are sitting in front of a fire with an ale or a coffee or whatever is your tradition this time of year. Ideally, your Christmas shopping's done or you're excited to go. But certainly is a magical time of year, especially for any of the gaming dads that pulled the boss move of a console under the tree, right?
Yeah, for sure. I might be in that ballpark if we consider VR,
Ooh. Is that
right?
not okay? So you are at your house. So
Mhm.
like just tap the side of your nose if we can't talk about this, or
Oh,
if we
we're good.
can.
We're good.
Okay. Okay. Did you pull the trigger? Are you gaming dad champion this year or what?
So, yes, pull the trigger. It was just too good to pass up. The kids have asked for MetaQuest.
Mhm.
They do a lot of gorilla tag and stuff with their friends. So this is one of those deals that just kind of cropped up. And here in Canada, we have no tax. So that just kind of sweetened the pot. Bunch of gift cards. So yeah, we're in. It's sitting upstairs. I don't know whether or not to open it and like not just play with it, but like, set it up and maybe play with
Yeah.
it, but set it up.
I would suggest you open it. So what I'm
Okay.
going to suggest is that you open it, make sure it's charged. There's probably going to be 2 updates. They've had a lot of updates recently and some pretty impactful ones. There's
Okay.
some amazing ones with the hand tracking recently where it really improved. So get the batteries, get the account. The account setup is a bit arduous, and especially when you have kids, if you're trying to add multiple people, they're
Okay.
doing their best, but it's just a thing. So it'd be best for you to kind of have lay of the land, and then you can set up multiple accounts, right? So you
Okay.
will be able to have and the games
Their own.
do
Okay.
transition across them, so they'll be able to have their own, and then you can set parental guidance. You can download all the games you want to get. So get your Gorilla Tag, for instance, just so that when they put it on, the whole
Yeah.
thing hopefully will be like just magic for them.
Yeah. See, I was going back and forth in my head because like when they were younger, I would totally do that. And they'd be like, oh my God, I want to play it now. And then I'm wondering, like, oh, I have a teenager and almost teenager. Do they want to like that fresh crack of a new console box? Right.
Hmm.
And I don't know. I think they're still in the phase of I want to play it now. So charging it and all that stuff is probably a good idea. At least get that going. And I will look at the accounts because that's something that, I've done with every other console, but like I control those purchases and they're tied to me. So again, having a 14-year-old is going to have their own funds. And
Hmm.
I need to look into all that and setting that up for them so that they carry purchases from now on, right? Like I can't just leave it to them in the will. Uh, they need to start building their own gaming library. So
Yeah. So it's a chance for you to just get your head around it as well, how it works. But I'm so excited. We are absolutely going to have a virtual reality podcast next year and stream
Yes.
it
Yes.
because we can get into the metaverse and we can create like a workroom, or like there's a bunch of different ways. And then I know we can cast, and if we can cast to a computer, I can stream it. So like we'll be in VR with whatever garbage avatars we have trying to do this show. It's going to be great.
Amazing. I can't wait for it.
Oh, so excited. So, man, so Jeff pulling it out, going to be the Christmas Day hero. Can't wait. If any gaming dads out there planned or pulled off the same, right into us at New Dad Gaming, newdadgaming.com. Now, for this show, what we wanted to do was like look back at the year.
Yes.
So we're rounding up on 2024, and what was this year as a gaming dad? So both, what was it with the kids? What was it for yourself? What were some of like the key moments and such? Like, how would you like to do this? You want to take the first crack? Shall I? Your choice.
Well, I have a couple key games that I did play that kind of
Mhm.
looking back was, a good experience. So I can start there.
Yeah, please.
A big one, again, reaching very far back into the year was Palworld.
Oh
That
my
was
goodness.
something, right? Like,
Remember that, guys?
remember that? Remember it was all the rage. Everybody was playing it, and then it's like slowly, plateaued, and maybe we're not
Mm,
at peak user level anymore. But playing that with my then 10-year-old was a fantastic experience. It was something that we
mm.
could do together. Again, involved areas of Pokemon and base building and all that stuff. And they just had a blast. And they actually like kept playing. Like, so I took my
Oh wow.
I took my character kind of offline for a bit, but they kept going with it and they really wanted to do more with it. And we're looking forward to the updates. There's even updates now where they're doing a collaboration with Terraria, another one of their favorites. So they're all
Oh
excited
really?
about the next one.
Hmm.
And it was a good game. I don't know if it's still going to exist in 2025, depending on what happens in the courts, but we'll see what happens. But
The
again,
story,
it was a
yeah.
fantastic time.
I remember that I read a story just this morning where they had made some updates to kind of further distinguish themselves from Nintendo and Pokemon. So I
Okay.
don't know if they're trying to continually slide away so that they're going to be in more legitimate territory.
Yeah.
Uh, the problem is like it was fun. Same with you. Like it kind of dropped off for me, but I had a wonderful time with it. It was just a fun story. Like there was so much hype around it. Like it was kind of hilarious to see.
Yeah.
And it would be nice to see it have some sort of staying power and kind of make it to that next level. Because
I
it just,
agree. Right? Like,
yeah,
again,
it was unique enough. It was just fun. Like it obviously like cripped on some things, but ultimately it's the thought that like you now own all tiny animals is a bit
yeah.
rich.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, your Jigglypuff looks like my marshmallow dude, and it's like, well, it's there's only so many shapes you can make these things, please.
Yeah. Yeah. And they did do like, again, the base building in there where you could build your own like
Yeah,
castle to house everything was cool. Like, I hope that Nintendo takes some notes from that and does that in the next Pokemon with
there you
whatever
go.
hardware they have coming out.
Wouldn't
So,
that wouldn't that be the wildest turn? Where in
right?
fact, like Nintendo, like Pokemon starts cribbing
Yeah.
Palworld, and they're like, "What are you gonna do? You gonna sue us?"
Right?
Just a entire power move.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
give their Pokemon Pikachu gets his first Glock. Like that's what
Yeah.
2025 is all about. What are you gonna do?
It
Sue us?
takes a turn. All these Pokemon cards are gonna be very different.
Yeah. Anything else? Any other game kind of stick out for yourself or your kids from the previous year?
Again, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was a
Excellent.
big one for me. That was one game that I was totally focused in on
Hmm.
and burned 100 hours in doing all the stuff. Again, I love Final Fantasy VII, so having this as the
Hmm.
second one of the trilogy of the remake, it was just so well done. Again, open world. I Like I said before, it was the only game I didn't get distracted from. So, like, when I
Hmm.
was in it, like, I was committed and I saw it through to the end, mainly out of I don't wanna see spoilers, knowing what happens in the
Oh.
story, but they've changed it enough that, like, I didn't wanna be spoiled out there. So, that was one, like, narrative game that I had to
Hmm.
get done and really dump my time into. But also going back just to the gaming dads and kids, Astrobot was a big hit in this
Mm.
house. It still is a big hit. They just released like a Christmas holiday level, which is fantastic. It just brings you back to the old days of gaming where I related to kind of Mario 64, that feeling of just, winter, holiday break. You go back into this nice, cozy
Mm.
platformer. And so the kids and I have set aside some time this holiday break to play Astrobot that Christmas level as kind of like a fun,
Aw,
right? Like
that is great. That it was so. You have to remind me. Like, I don't know why I'm blanking on this. Did it win Game of the Year?
it did. A lot of
Yes.
people were upset about that, but it did.
Let those hardcore gamers cry all they
Yeah.
want. Like, that's fantastic. Like, I don't know how you'd be upset about it. Like, why? Because it wasn't adult enough. Because it wasn't bloody. Like, it was the fun, like the most lovingly crafted, fun, beautiful, like love letter to everything that was gaming that we grew
Yeah.
up. Like, how could you not? How would you feel? I could appreciate you'd have some disappointment that your favorite didn't win, but to think that, like, to have any kind of rage, like, oh, I can't believe this won, utterly unnecessary.
No, and then, it brings back those Mario feelings, right? Mario can
Mhm.
win. A family-friendly game can win Game of the Year. It doesn't have to be this deep
Yeah.
narrative-driven game. It could just be fun and joy, and that's all this was. Like, again, it wasn't punishing. You could do the things. There are expert levels where you can like speed trial and go against yourself and whatever. But it was
Mm.
just a joy to play, and anybody at any age can enjoy it. So I will totally recommend it. You have a PS5, Astrobot should be on the Christmas
Yep.
list. If it's not already, you'll have a
Yeah.
great time with it.
Yeah. I remember that was by far the strongest recommendations we had. We had one gaming dad write in and say they pulled the PS5 for Under the Tree, which is just
Yeah,
like, oh, how exciting is that going to be? I hope there's a video. And it's like, what game? It's like, since you have kids, it's like Astrobot for sure. That is just the game to get. Everyone's
yeah,
going to love it.
yeah, for sure. So yeah, those were like my top highlights, I think, of this year. I think a lot of the time was spent with the kids a little bit more, and I had my own narrative-driven games that my kids don't want to watch. So there's a little something for dad, something for gaming
It's
kids.
like, this is boring. I don't want to watch this. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I don't want you talking through it. That's great. That works out for both of us.
I don't
So
want you Googling it and finding everything that happens and just telling me.
it is a legitimate threat from at least my kids. So, but how
Oh,
was your year? What were your highlights?
yeah. So I don't want to knock it because that's not fair. That's not in the spirit of the show. But like this was certainly for my kids the year that Roblox dominated. And
Yes.
I'm sure that's a story familiar to many gaming dad households. Like, it is, Roblox is just a juggernaut. It is something onto itself. It's almost like there's a class of people who only play Madden, which is totally
Oh,
fine, by the way. But it's just like, yeah, I bought the new system so I could get the better looking version of Madden because Madden's the game that I play. And that's what their gaming is. This new generation coming up, I would swear to you, there's some probably like told number that are just Roblox. It's like gaming is Roblox.
oh yeah, for sure.
And it just took over the house. It's everything that they're playing. I'll say that for the year that's coming up, like, which is going to be our next show. I mean, one of my intentions is to play more with them, but I didn't play as many games with them as I had wanted upon reflection, because the thing that they really wanted to play all the time was Roblox, and I have zero interest in playing that game with them. Which
Yeah.
it's a little, and that's a little problematic of my own, I suppose. Like, ultimately, I should try to find a way to enjoy it, but there's just something about that phonetic, like crazy, wild, um, gotcha type gaming or gacha time gaming that I just couldn't, I just couldn't bring myself to bring. Had you ever played Roblox with your kids?
Okay, yeah, I was about to mention, like, I have stepped into the world of Roblox. I have played some of the more, let's say, high-end games, like the Backrooms and stuff. They do look like legitimate games. There's a lot of time spent with them. But
Mm,
yeah, the experience wasn't the greatest. Again, it's not fully crafted for co-op multiplayer interaction. It's more like sides, right? Like me versus you in this world,
yeah.
whatever. And I'm sure there's other games out there that maybe ties it a little bit more together, but I didn't. So my kids always ask to play, and I do
Mm,
feel bad that I'm like, I don't really
not
want to
that.
play Roblox, and it's hard for me to do it because again, I don't have a PC. They both have
Mm,
PCs. I have the Steam Deck, which I usually play the games on with, and I connect with them that way. So
mhm.
I'm not loading Roblox onto my Steam Deck. That's just
It
something I'm
just
not doing.
did you? what's like your phone situation? Would you not do it on your phone? I'm not trying to find ways for you to play Roblox. I'm
I
in the
think
same
you
boat. I'm
are
not going to do
finding
it.
ways for me to play. I do have it on my phone, and the only
Mm.
reason I have it on my phone, little story, is that I was in the US. My kids were in the US. We were visiting my dad, and apparently Roblox, again, much like the gotcha game kind of mechanic, you have
Mm.
login bonuses. So they were really worried that they were going to miss out key items, right?
Yeah.
So I had to download
Yeah.
it on my phone, use my cell signal, and get them their logins
And
bonuses.
with the roaming data, it's probably like $5 every day, just so they can get their little like monkey shoulder thing.
Yeah, you better be wearing that monkey shirt, monkey hat, whatever it is, for the
Yeah.
rest of your life in Roblox.
You
But
better
yes,
cherish this Roblox monkey for all of your days.
that's right. But yes, I do
Uh,
have it on my phone. I can play it on my phone.
yeah,
Do I
but you
play it on
won't,
my
and
phone?
neither will I. It's just like it's a hard get for a parent, basically, and
Yeah.
I get it. So at the same time, like I said, when we get to our next episode, which will be the year that's coming up, that's one of the things for me is really to play. But for the kids, it was very much the year of Roblox. Like that was the game.
Yeah.
So for myself, it's kind of sad, I suppose. I don't want to be such a downer at the end of the year, but I had been having a fantastic time with Marvel Snap.
Yes.
Enjoyed it. Like
So
had a
did
lot
I.
of fun. I was streaming it. We had like I was on Twitch and there was a couple the followers there that were logging in and helping me with some plays. Like fantastic time. Just out and out having fun with that game.
Right.
I think it really was the game of the year for me, the one that I for sure spent the most time in. And I've now given it up. I've not played it for months.
Oh,
And what happened was I used to like, so in high school, this is a bit of a story. We'll cut around to it. In high school, I played Magic the Gathering, but it's just me and all my buddies. We bought a couple packs, put together some cards, and we just battle it out.
right.
But it's very like small. Like the thing is like, you know what I mean? Like we put together a couple decks and we played a little bit and we had some fun and like
Yeah.
everybody was just kind of going for it. What Magic ultimately comes and what really transcended into the online version is that it's the perpetual getting of new cards being released all the time.
Yeah.
Like every month it feels like there's just a whole brand new set of cards and you need to accumulate them all, so it's like this hamster wheel. There's a saying in the Magic world where it's like, if you want to keep your kids off drugs, get them into Magic the Gathering because they'll never have any money for them.
Words
So
to live by.
yeah. So I had played a bit of Magic, but immediately it was just like, I have no idea what's going on. I'm so confused. There's all this like interactions. I have no clue how it works. I got into Snap, and at the time that I did Marvel Snap, it was fairly robust, but not crazy. Like I was able basically to know the cards and know the interactions. And within that space, I was able to have a lot of fun because I knew everything that was going to happen. It's not like I'm a top tier player, but I at least knew what was going on.
Yeah.
And then towards the latter half of the year, I saw firstly they introduced like 2 or 3 new mechanics. And in addition, they also laid out the year that's coming. So it's like, okay, here's all the new cards that are coming for the next like 6 months. It's going to be, like 8 cards a month. And I would swear to you, it was just this like slow, sad dawning upon me, which is like,
Oh no.
they're just gonna always have new cards and new mechanics. Like this is just, it's not gonna stop.
Right.
Like it's basically now a job where I'm gonna have to keep on top of it, and then keep getting new cards if I'm gonna be able to. Because it'd be one. I don't care if I don't need the latest. I don't need to be competitive, right?
Right.
But the challenge is like, okay, I'm gonna play this, and it's like, well, I did this spell and I did this counter spell and I did this other thing, and you have no clue what any of those things are. So now you're no longer playing against a person. You're kind of just playing some cards and hoping for the best.
Right. Yeah.
And it just broke me. So one of my seasons ended up, and I just like, you know what? And that's the ball game there. So had a great time with it. I don't regret it. It was wonderful, but I have zero interest to jump back in, unfortunately.
Yeah, I can see where it was kind of waning for you. So it's too bad. Maybe, maybe a break from it and everybody else takes a break from it. It'll be like retooling, like, okay, we'll get back to our roots. But
I'm instead looking at things like Slay the Spire.
okay.
I'm looking at, I was messing with this a bit last night. So the other thing that I discovered this year, though, was solo board games. So one is like this Pathfinder or something of the Rune Lords, something to that regard.
Right.
And it's intimidating, but it's basically a deck builder, but everything's in the box. Like there's no, you can buy expansions, but it's just new activities for characters. It's kind of like a D&D campaign, but all dictated by cards and like chance. And you're just sitting there kind of playing it by yourself. I did that. I did Under the Steel Sky. I did One Deck Dungeon. I discovered all these sort of offline solo card experiences that were actually like really fun. And just kind of a nice break too, because as opposed to like sitting there looking at my phone, because I work on screens all day, I have this like tactile, real world type of activity. So I can like light a fire, pour a beer, have just a car, and just like sort of chill out and relax for the day without being glued to a screen a bit.
Right.
So that like sort of summarized the year. Yeah, it was great, but I moved on, and I'll say this too. I looked at my backlog of games, and it's like I should be playing some of these games. Like I should be making progress in all these other wonderful games that I have.
Yeah, it's hard, right? Because I don't know. I kind of looked at some games before of like collecting them, right? Like, oh, I want that. I would enjoy that. And then maybe don't get into it. Like maybe park it in my digital library and it sits there, stares at me, where I have to like physically, like I have to uninstall it, so I don't want to look at it anymore because it just annoys me. And like I don't have time to have that mental space to get into like a heavy RPG unless it's something that I really eat through. But it's tough. It's a good problem to have though. I don't know.
Oh, it's a phenomenal. This is the challenges. Like we're doing wonderfully. So yeah, I think again we'll get into that into the next block of the show. For anybody listening, we'll have the year that will be as the second episode launching in the new year. But I think it's hopeful. It ends up being like a really great year. That's one thing I did want to mention. I want to call it specifically is I think this was a year, and I think you'll back me up on it, that Trials made a really big impact.
Definitely demos, anything that can kind of get you into the game, experience a little bit of it for sure. Again, we've always said, where are the demos? Because you don't know what your kids are necessarily going to bite into with a lot of the games that you think that they like. And so a demo can give you a good indication of, okay, this is a full purchase worthy kind of game. So yeah.
I think we had two. Like we had the two big. It's towards the end of the year, but the Ghostbusters game, which there was a free play weekend, and my oldest just latched onto it. I still catch him playing it from time to time, which per the previous conversation, like anything that takes him out of Roblox is a massive win.
Right.
So he sunk some hugely fun hours into the online multiplayer Ghostbuster game. And then same with the wrestling game, WWE 2K24, sorry.
Right.
That's been a huge win for this last. It's kind of been the Christmas. I don't know if you have some of these, but it's almost like the holidays are coming, and it's kind of nice if there's a new game that everybody can latch onto. Yeah, it becomes like the centerpiece of the gaming for the family.
For sure. Like that is not coalescing right here, right now, but like everybody is like in their own little gaming world. But I will say, even just with the demo thing, I had demoed my Super Metroid to my 11-year-old, right? And I said, oh, there's these other games, and I demoed them like, hey, look at this stuff. And then I found out that at some point we had got the 3DS version of Metroid 2, the remake, and they had been playing it. And it was one of those things that they kind of snuck in time, and they wanted me to look like, hey, look how far I am in this game. And they really sunk their teeth into it. So I'm like, even just showing them the games and demoing like trailers or whatever, your own gameplay can help.
Absolutely. So I think at least two purchases from my end. I think if I remember correctly, you had 1 to 3 purchases based on Trials in the past year.
Yeah. Again, Rebirth, but I was going to buy that. But Pillars of Eternity 2 really surprised me. So that was something that, again, demo that got me to turn. And there was a couple others. Even Core Keeper was a good multiplayer demo. Steam usually puts out like free demo weekends on indie games, and that one turned the key for us as well.
Yeah, so it's cool to see. I really did feel to me, and I might just be recency bias, but it did feel like this year was much bigger for Trials. Yeah, and something that it really helped, like the family gaming, because the kids could try it. It's like, all right, you guys say you want this, but I want you to play it for a bit and see if you actually like it, and then we'll make some determination.
For sure. Keep it going. 2025 developers, if you're listening, of course you are. More demos, please. Trials, anything.
We've had a pretty good year as far as like manifestation. We put stuff out onto the podcast and it just happens to show up a few weeks later. So
That's what I'm saying.
we'll keep that with. Hey, Gimme Dads out there, do you have something you want to see? Do you have some trials? What was your year like? We'd absolutely love to hear from you. We're going to wrap up the show here for this week, and going into the new year again, would love to hear from you. One of the greatest parts of this show every year, and especially this year, has been the interaction with gaming dads like yourself. So if you have any stories or anything that we discussed today, have your own take, have your own poem you'd like to share, reach out to us at New Dad Gaming or newdadgaming.com. If you did like the show, you can find us on all the major podcasting networks. You can find us on Google Play, Castr, Spotify, iTunes, podcasts. Anywhere you find podcasts, just search for New Dad Gaming. Give us a subscription. What really helps is either a rating or a review. Helps boost the signal to as many gaming dads as possible as we pressure the industry to have more demos and more family-friendly titles and rile against and ensure that games like Astrobot continue to win Game of the Year.
That's right. Again, devs are listening to us, so let's just carry that forward.
Absolutely. Everybody from Jeff and myself and everybody here at New Dad Gaming, thank you so much for the year. It was an absolute blast. Really looking forward to the next one. So happy holidays. Merry Christmas to you and yours. And until next week, my name is Trevor, and I have a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have a 14-year-old and an 11-year-old.
Remember, everyone, just because you became a dad
Does not mean it's game over.